Hey, what's up, guys? So I've got a performance by Vanessa Collier, an interview with her, and then another performance. The first one is with the whole band. The second one is just a duet with her and guitar. So before we get started, I wanted to remind you guys about Artflix. So Artflix is an app that I'm working on with some friends for streaming concerts and performances, where artists receive 100% of the ticket revenue generated from their performances. Please check the links below and invest in us. We've got a Kickstarter coming in a week or so. Thanks a lot. So also, my band, On a Mandem, has entered a competition to be playing at the Forest Stage in Gordon Festival. So the Forest Stage, or Waldbühne in German. You can find all the links in the bottom. Please click on the links, click vote, and support us. If you want to hear us, you can wait till the end of the video and have a listen to us there. Thanks a lot. Over and out. See ya.
And so I took it and turned it into a song. And we're about to play a little Sweating Like a Pig, Singing Like an Angel for you.
We're here with Vanessa Collier. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So when did you first realize that you wanted to be a musician?
It was pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I decided that this was my path, I was probably a sophomore in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that 15,
Yeah.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I had hoped before that I could include music. So it was just at that time I was playing basketball and
Yeah.
thought I wanted to play in the WNBA and like go that route and play saxophone and be a chef and a restaurateur. And
Nice,
like,
yeah.
you know, that was what I thought.
Yeah, of
At
course.
like
All of it.
10, 12, I thought all of it was possible. So,
Well, you still got time.
yeah, right?
all
To
of
do
it.
anything.
Yeah.
That's the way I think about it. So, but yeah, I think it was about 15. And
Yeah.
I almost quit basketball
Yeah.
to do it. And then my coach begged me to come back. So, I ended up playing.
And what was the first steps you took to try and become a musician?
I think probably...
Like, apart from just school. That was
Yeah.
obviously the first thing, studying the music.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, going to college and studying that. But I got an opportunity to tour with Joe Louis Walker, who's a blues artist, guitar player, singer, harmonica player. And I toured with him for about a year and a half, my last year of school, and got my feet wet into the music industry, the business. And I loved it. I mean, I made basically no money, kind of thing, enough to cover the gas of driving to place. But for me, it was all about the experience, and I learned a ton more from him in the year and a half than I even did in 4 years of school. So I think that was like definitely my first step, and then he kind of pushed me to do my own thing, and I started making a record and just out of tunes that I had written. Yeah.
Was that hard to study and be touring as well?
Yeah, so I was a dual major in college, so I did music production and music performance on saxophone, and then I was an RA in college, so in the dormitories, like you're kind of in I don't know, you're just supposed to watch the floor and be a resource for the incoming freshmen. And I look back and I like really don't know
how you managed to juggle it
how
all.
I did any of that. Because I remember not sleeping much, because I'd come home from college and sleep for like 15 hours straight and just like still be exhausted, you know? But yeah, I think it was challenging a little bit.
Well, it paid off.
Yeah, definitely.
So who are your like early influences, or who are you currently listening to that maybe would surprise the viewers?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think first off, my saxophone teacher was Chris Vidala, and he's very well known, at least in the States. He's very prominent woodwind artist who actually just passed in January, but he turned me on to Cannibal Adderley like immediately. He was like, "You gotta listen to this. He's my favorite guy," and Cannibal quickly became one of my favorites on the horn.
Yeah.
So I've listened to a ton of his records. And then Ella Fitzgerald was very early for me as well, because who sings like that? I mean, even now, who sings like that? So those were probably very, very early on. I also had like Leanne Rimes super early, because I grew up in Texas.
Yeah, of course.
So country was on the radio.
At the time, right?
Yeah. And I still listen to all of that. You know, I think where my tastes have gone is I've kind of opened up and listened to everything. So one of my favorite groups is the Wood Brothers, who kind of like bluesy, rootsy, kind of rock.
I don't know
sometimes.
them.
Yeah, you'd love them.
Yeah.
You would love them, I'm sure. I don't know if they come over here to tour, but they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
And of course Stevie Wonder and all that, but I've kind of gotten into the bluegrass, so Chris Thiele and Alison Krauss and that whole crew, as well as like the chicken picking guitar players.
Cool.
That's been my recent going down that route because of Josh Smith. I've been researching him. As far as saxophone players go, I love Jeff Coffin, who was with Bela Fleck and then now with Dave Matthews Band, and he's just like a phenomenal player on again, all around woodwind artist. So I think that's probably the most surprising.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And so what's your creative process of writing a track?
Yeah.
I know it's a big question.
No, because they're different every time. Yeah. And I'm like in the process of writing a new record, so it's kind of like, where do I begin? Again. But sometimes, like the first one, they were all songwriting assignments for my classes.
Yeah.
Like the 5 songs that I wrote were mostly from those classes. And then as I've progressed, I've kind of, like, I spent so much time driving back and forth to teach.
Yeah.
And, you know, originally when I was touring, it was just me. So I'd spend a lot of time in the car and just get this idea or a lyric or something and then pull out my phone and, like, put the voice recorder on and just sing into my phone.
Yeah.
And I have, like, 1,000 ideas on the phone that way. So usually when I'm searching for new ideas, it's like...
Scrolling through.
And then... You know, I find that sitting at coffee shops, this is from my songwriting teacher, is really helpful because you get different ideas just listening to people talk. They'll say some turn of phrase you haven't heard before.
Yeah, true. And then you just take a note of that.
Yeah.
Like the singing like an angel.
Yeah, exactly. Sweating like a pig, singing like an angel. Definitely. Yeah.
Great track, which you can listen to in this link.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest challenge you've had to face to get where you are now?
You know, I think it's kind of a quiet struggle because I find that, especially in the blues world, it's a lot of guy guitar players. Yeah. And that is what people want to see. They want to see a ton of guitar, and generally guys are playing. So, you know, one of my challenges has been bringing the saxophone to the forefront. Yeah. Again, you know, like... Eddie Shaw did so well. He's just had his own thing, and like saxophone is the thing. You know, A.C. Reed and all those older cats, Junior Walker. You know, these guys just made it really important, and I want the saxophone to have a voice again. Yeah. So I think that's kind of been a challenge, and it's always a challenge to kind of be seen as I'm petite in stature. You know, like I don't look menacing in any way, you know, but like that my spirit is bigger than my body, and it's like, you know, sometimes people see it and sometimes they don't, and it's okay. Like I've gotten okay with that, because the people that see it love what I do, and they appreciate what I'm about and what I'm going for, and they just get it. And you know, I just hope that continues, and continue to write some music that people connect to. That's my hope.
Yeah, I think it will do. So you said you're currently working on so that's your fourth album. Yeah. So what, like you've just started that now, or so you're like not in the studio yet, you're just writing the tracks.
Yeah, I have the dates booked in January. I have them blocked off with the musicians and now the studio and the engineer. But I gotta write the stuff now. Of course. Like, you know, again, I have these floating ideas, and it's just time to sit down and focus. So
are there any lyrics or any any particular parts of songs that you've written that you're particularly proud of?
Oh yeah, I mean, The Runaround is one off my very first record, and I was so proud of that song, especially the bridge. It goes into this halftime section, and I just loved the chords. And, you know, when I wrote it, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is my masterpiece, you know? And of course, you move on, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, it was cool, but I can always do better, you know?
Yeah.
I love that one. I love a lot of the stuff off the new record is I got to do it my own way. So hired the studio engineer that I wanted, the mixing engineer, the musicians that I wanted, and put it out on my own label. So it was very much, you know.
Well, you had control over that.
Exactly. I wrote 9 of the 10 songs, so it was like, it's very much a statement of me.
Yeah.
So I think...
And so the next album is like that as well. You have
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many I'll write versus, you know, I may
Yeah, but
throw
you
a
at least
couple
have the
covers.
control over it.
Exactly. Yep.
How has your sound changed, if at all?
Oh no, it
Yeah, I
has
thought so,
for sure. Yeah, I think when I listen to the first record, you know, I hear very much myself, but very much like the introverted me. So I am very much an introvert, and most people, if you watch the show, you'll
Yeah, well, you're
never
on
know
stage,
that.
you're an entertainer, you're in that
Exactly.
in that place, in that extrovert zone. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, and I've learned how to like flip that on, and that is a part of my character. It's just I can't stay there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have to come back and be
Yeah,
kind
be
of
back to-
solitary.
yeah.
But I forgot the question. Sorry.
How did you?
I got.
Yeah, that's, how did your sound change?
Yeah. So the first record, I hear very introverted, very kind of like just discovering the world and being very cautious, I think. And as I've changed, I've kind of like recognized that albums are just a timestamp of where you are at that exact moment, and so wherever that is, you just let it be. So
Yeah.
it's taken a little bit of the stress off because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just, you know, what it
Yeah.
is. And I think I've grown as a musician, I've grown as a performer, and so I feel a little bit more confident. And that's
Yeah.
probably more what I hear on the records now.
Yeah, the
And
confidence comes through.
yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
So you, either how do you, or do you have any tips for how to work with a band? Because I guess
Sure.
you know, the band leader, you're delegating what gets done and when it gets done.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you can give other band leaders or?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I have learned is that the show is made better by incorporating different voices. And so I love that, you know, Nick, the drummer, is willing to give me feedback on stuff that he doesn't feel is working, and we'll just have a conversation about it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, that's
you know,
important, yeah.
He's at the back of the band and has a very different view, and I'm at the front, and I have a very different view
Yeah.
of what's working for the crowd and what's working for the band. And so I appreciate those conversations.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of band leaders that it's very much like my vision, my thing, and I don't, you know, you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like everybody else is playing out of tune. It's not me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think being allowed and able to take that criticism, that just the input, it makes the show, it makes the music, it makes everything a little bit better. So that's what I would say.
So what do you like to do outside of music?
I love to cook.
Yeah.
Every time I'm home, I'm pretty much trying out some new recipe or some new vegetable I haven't heard.
Yeah.
And so that's been a favorite of mine. I cook for my mom because, you know, she spent so many years doing it for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's the payback time.
Yeah, exactly. But I love to go out and bike. I have a road bike that
Nice,
I go
yeah.
out for a couple miles and do that. I'm hoping to do like, you know, 100-mile run or something like that. One of these days, biking, swimming.
Yeah.
All of those things. I like to stay active, so hiking. I
Yeah,
just
that's
went
important.
here.
Yeah, so where were you today?
I actually did. I went yesterday, and I
yeah.
found I forget what the park is, but it's you can take the tram up or you can walk all the
Maybe
way up.
Gurton?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really nice
with
place.
the toboggan ride at
Yeah,
the top.
yeah, exactly. Did you go down it?
No, I didn't have time. I had to come back for the show. But
Well, next time, when
Yes.
she comes back.
How was that? Yeah, that looks so awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so you said you're working on an album now. What's the future plans, or you know, the ultimate goal in an ideal world?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And
I know there's also another big one that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. You know, I'd really like to get to the point where I could write for other people. I'd also like to get to the point where you know, I'd make enough money or I'd have a big enough name to make a bigger impact socially. So, you know, I watch like Carole King is someone who's an idol of mine in this way because she gives back to the community.
She gives back,
that's a big part of it. I live very close to Wilmington, Delaware, which is kind of one of the lower income areas in the United States. It's also one of the highest crime rates.
Yeah.
And so, you know, building gardens there, building
a place where you
community.
could have some benefit.
Exactly. That's very much like part of my artistic vision is being able to like grow a community that's near me. And then just continue creating music that I'm proud of. You know, at the end of the day, I just want to be happy and healthy and you know, support my friends and family as much as I can. So that's my goal.
Nice. Good answer.
Thank you.
So where can our listeners find your music?
Sure.
Is it YouTube, Spotify?
Everywhere.
Everywhere?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll see the links in the bottom and maybe on the screen, whatever.
If you want to go to the home base is my website, so vanessacollier.com. And then from there you can get to pretty much everything. Yeah. Facebook, Twitter, you know, whatever. And it's all up on Spotify, Pandora, anywhere you can get music, it's pretty much there.
So one more, maybe any advice for just starting musicians, not necessarily band leaders?
I think it's been super important for me to kind of stick to what I believe is like for me. You know, there's a lot of people that have kind of said, oh, you can't play blues saxophone, or you can't play this, you can't play this. You're kind of like in this
gray area.
Yeah, exactly, of music, because I like so much. And they want to put you in a box. They want to say, go all the way this way. And, you know, I was kind of reluctant to do that because it's not my personality. You know, I've listened to so much and I love so much of it. Why not?
They want to bring it all together. Exactly.
Why not? You know, so I think for starting out, you got to like kind of learn to stick to your guns a little bit. And speak up for yourself, and then also don't be a jerk. You know, that's a big part.
Don't be a jerk, guys.
Don't be a jerk. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yay.
Alright, so we're going to break it down a little bit, just do a duo song for a second. This one's also off my new record. And as I said, it's about a lot of stories, so I'll tell one more. And this one is kind of, when I was going through my English classes in school, I loved the books that we read. You know, most people didn't, but I was one of the few that did. And the two books that I loved, the two stories that I loved, the first one is To Kill a Mockingbird. Not sure if it's as big here as it is in the States, but it's one of my favorite books, and one of the characters, his name is Atticus Finch, and he's all about fighting for the right thing, despite, you know, it's not the popular thing, and I always loved that. And the second story is the Greek myth of Icarus, and I just loved the idea of somebody dreaming up this crazy idea to fly close to the sun. And so I kind of wove both of those stories into my own, and wrote this song called Icarus. So I hope you enjoy it. Little Icarus with his crayons in his head, coloring in the sun, and I won't give up an inch. So I said, fly, little licorice, fly. Fly, little licorice, fly. Keep dreaming big and set your wings on the sky. And fly, little licorice, fly. When Icarus finally got off the ground, he flew a little too close to the sun. What's left of his hair melted with the wax on his wings. He started falling like a star burning out. He said, I might be bolder than an eagle, yes. Don't know if I'm smarter than Atticus Finch, but I sure as heck did wrestle that sun.